Hello everybody, this is Cindy Bighorse from Indian Preservation, and today I'm going to talk to you about a tool that you can download to your smart device that will help you with the steps that you need to go through for water bath, steam, or pressure canning. This is a great tool to have on hand. It has checklists and timers, and that is all that it has. It does not contain ingredients or how to prepare your food for canning. Is merely how to get it into the jar, get it into the canner, and get it out of the canner. So always double check your recipe, make sure that you have the appropriate headspace, the appropriate times. So let's see what this little tool does for us. When you open up the app, this is the screen that you will see, and this offers you the opportunity to select the category of food that you're going to put up. Today, I'm going to be canning tomatoes, so I will pick fruit. The fruit option offers several different products, and I have multiple options for tomatoes, but today I'm hot packing. The next thing you're going to do is select your jar size. And we all know that we have sizes other than pints and quarts, but you're going to move up to the next size. So if you were canning half pints, you would select pint. If you're doing pint and a half, you would select quart. I do not recommend canning anything larger than quart, but today I'm using pint jars. The next thing you're going to select is what kind of pack will you be doing. And by pack, we're talking about a hot pack or a raw pack. Since we selected hot pack earlier in the list, raw is not an option that's offered here. I like hot packing over raw packing because it cooks a lot of the oxygen out of the food, especially with tomatoes. They contain a lot of air, and you can draw that out of the food by heating it up. So I can actually get more tomatoes into my jar with the hot pack than I can with the raw pack. With the raw pack, you'll notice that the tomatoes are floating and you have a lot of liquid at the bottom of the jar. With the hot pack, my jar stays full of tomatoes. So let's move forward with the hot pack. Then we're going to pick the canning method. Now, when you're on in this app, you're going to see a lot of times that you'll have a water bath or a pressure canning option. But today, they're only offering us water bath, which can be exchanged for a steam bath. So let's pick water bath canning and keep moving. The next step is picking your elevation from this list. And it's important to know your elevation, and that's sometimes called the altitude, which is where you are, where your feet are above sea level. And you can find out how high you are on the USGS website or ask your smartphone, what's my elevation? Now, just so you know, I am a retired electrical engineer in aeronautics. In the aircraft industry, elevation is the distance between sea level and where your feet stand on the ground. Altitude is the distance between where you are in the air and to the surface of the ground, no matter what that elevation is. But those terms are used interchangeably and it's understood. I live at 741 feet above sea level, so I'm going to click the 0 to 1,000 feet button. You're going to come up to your first checklist, and these things are checked off for you because you've completed those steps in the earlier windows. Once you're double check this list and once you're confident that everything is correct, click the continue button. So far so good, right? This isn't too difficult. It's a pretty easy little app to use. So let's keep going. So this is where the work starts. And using this checklist will help you keep in line on what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. And this is a good time to bring in a trusted friend and let them check the items off using your smart device. I like that simply because my hands are dirty and I'm not going to get my screen icky. And I also like this because it's a backup system of what needs to be done. Once you get to the bottom of the list, the next button is activated and you can advance to the next screen.
So our processing time is the period of this preserving where we're going to start sealing the jars and kill the bacteria that's inside of that jar. The notes in large font at the top of the page are important. This one says start the timing when the water boils. And we're talking about a good rolling boil here, not just a little simmer. And it's at that point in time that you are going to click the start timer button. I also set up a second timer as a backup because sometimes this app gets interrupted.
When the processing time is finished, you'll see the timer set to 0. And the next button will be activated and the screen will be flashing red. It's time to click the next button. So your processing is finished. You turned the heat off from underneath your canner and you remove the canner especially if you have an electric stove or the flat tops and you want to remove the lid from the canner. Click the next button and you need to manually check these items off the list. This rest time is a very important step in the process, and this is resting for the jars, not necessarily for the person canning. But this particular point in time, the lid is removed off the canner, the water is starting to settle down, the contents of the jar are starting to settle down and adjust to the pressure outside of the canner. And by leaving the jar sitting in that hot water for a little bit, the liquids settle down and won't have an opportunity to leak out of the jar, which is called siphoning. So at this point, we want to click the start timer button. When the 5 minutes is up, your timer will set to 0. Your screen will start flashing red. It's time to hit the next button and remove the jars. All right, folks, we are almost done. Follow through this checklist, complete all the tasks, and then click that next button. Just so you know, I'm a little bit of a rebel. That last task of wash, dry, canner lid, and put everything away, I do that after I finish everything, just so I can kind of keep things in order in my head. Congratulations, you have finished your canning project. Stand back and take a moment to admire everything that you have done. You are one step closer to providing much healthier choices for your family. So now you have a choice. You can return to the home page and just kind of finish up things for the day, or you can start another project. You might have a little bit of daylight left. Anyway, so go to your app store, download the Canning Timer app to your smart device. It's free. And remember, this is not a replacement for your recipe, but a guideline to work in addition to your recipe. It merely gives you the steps that you need to do so you can get your canning done in a logical order. But always double check the time, double check the recipes, double check your headspace. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time on Indian Preservation.